Environment can be defined as the surrounding in which living organisms live. Environmental factors, whether living or non-living, directly or indirectly affect the life of an organism. Abiotic factors or the non-living environment encompasses the atmosphere, the lithosphere and the hydrosphere, whereas the biotic or living environment is the biosphere. Environmental factors can be classified into substances like soil, water, rocks and air, conditions that include light, rainfall, temperature and humidity, forces like wind and gravity, and organisms like humans, plants, animals and microbes. Living organisms interact with their environments and bear its impression on their growth. In order to withstand adverse conditions and enjoy maximum benefits, organisms develop certain anatomical, morphological, physiological and reproductive features. Any such feature which enables the organism to survive under existing condition is known as adaptation. Over a period of time, every organism develops adaptations with the existing environment, and so does the population or a community. The completion of the life cycle of an organism results through a series of adaptations with major survival value. Survival value comprises the destruction of vital vegetative tissues and dissemination of reproductive bodies. In 1895, J.E.B. Warming, also known as Eugen Warming, was the first to realize the influence of limiting factors on plants in the ecology. He classified plants on the basis of their requirements of water and on the nature of the substratum on which they grow. On the basis of substratum soil, plants can be classified as auxilophytes, plants of acidic soil, halophytes, plants of saline soil, lithophytes, plants growing on rocks, psammophytes, plants growing on sand, and chasmophytes, plants growing on crevices of rocks. The second classification given by Warming was in 1909. This classification was made on the basis of plants and their relationship with water. Water supply and transpiration regulation in plants are the most important factors that evoke differences in plant life and plant forms. Plants can be classified on the basis of their water requirement and nature of soils as hydrophytes, plants growing in or close to water, halophytes, plants growing in salt marsh, mesophytes, plants which grow in an environment which is neither wet nor dry, and xerophytes, plants growing under poor supply of water. The plants growing in water partially or completely are called as hydrophytes or aquatic plants. Depending upon fresh water or saline water, plants can be classified as freshwater plants and saltwater plants or marine plants. Free floating and non-vascular hydrophytes are known as phytoplanktons. Hydrophytes can be classified on the basis of their relation between water and air. Their categories are submerged hydrophytes, floating hydrophytes and amphibious hydrophytes. Submerged hydrophytes. Submerged hydrophytes grow below the water surface and do not come in contact with the atmosphere. These plants can be free floating, for example, hydrilla, or rooted, for example, Vallisneria. Floating hydrophytes. Floating hydrophytes float on the surface or slightly below the water surface. These plants remain in contact with both water and air. The plants may or may not be rooted, for example, Ecornia and Azolla. Amphibious hydrophytes. Amphibious hydrophytes are adapted for both aquatic and terrestrial systems. They can grow either in shallow water or muddy substratum. Stems and roots of these plants may be submerged in water, but branches and flowering shoots are well above the surface of water. The aerial parts of amphibious plants show xerophytic or mesophytic characters, while the submerged plants develop hydrophytic characters, for example, Sagittaria and Polygonum. Hydrophytes exhibit various types of morphological adaptations in their stems, leaves and roots. Stems. Stems are generally slender, spongy, flexible and long as in Hydrilla, whereas in Azolla they are horizontal, spongy and floating. In rooted hydrophytes like Sagittaria, the stem is a rhizome or stolon. Roots. Roots of hydrophytes are partially or wholly immersed in water. They are absent in Utricularia and Salvinia, while they are poorly developed in submerged plants like Hydrilla and Vallisneria. In floating hydrophytes like Pistia and Ecornia, root caps are present in place of root pockets. Root hairs are poorly developed in most hydrophytes. They project two types of roots, one being the normal and other are spongy and negatively geotropic. Leaves. Leaves of hydrophytes show a number of variations in their structure of leaf lamina. The leaves are finely dissected. They can be long and narrow to offer little resistance to water currents. They can also be smooth, shining and coated with wax. The wax prevents water clogging and protects from chemical and physical injuries. Such leaves are common in free floating hydrophytes. In floating but rooted hydrophytes, the petioles are long and lamella is peltate. The lower surface of leaves is in direct contact with water and the upper surface is exposed to air. In hydrophytes, the main reason for anatomical adaptation is to increase aeration by using the epidermis. The adaptation also includes reduction in protecting structures, reduction in vascular tissues and reduction in supporting tissues. Physiological adaptation in hydrophytes include low osmotic concentration of cell sap and no transpiration in the case of submerged plants. On the other hand, in free floating hydrophytes, the rate of transpiration is high. Photosynthetic and respiratory gases are retained in air chambers for future use. Mucilage cells and canals secrete mucilage to protect the plant body from decay under water. Nutrients are absorbed through the general plant surface. In some areas like deserts, alpine peaks and hills, there is acute shortage of water and the transpiration is often very rapid. In such habitats, plants are greatly modified to withstand the unfavorable conditions. Such plants are known as xerophytes. The dominant factors of such habitats are less water, high temperature, strong light intensity and high wind velocity. Plants in such areas develop several features in their morphology and anatomy which help them to reduce transpiration. These plants are adapted to absorb as much water as they can from their surroundings, retain water in their organs for a long time and to reduce the transpiration rate. Roots. The root system of xerophyte is well developed and highly branched. It is much more elaborated when compared to shoot system. Many plants develop a superficial root system where the supply of water is restricted to the surface layer of the earth. The roots of perennial xerophytes grow very deep in the earth and reach the layer where water is available in plenty. Root hairs are densely developed near the growing tips of the rootlets. These enable the roots to absorb sufficient quantity of water. Stems. Xerophytes have varied stems. Stems are hard and woody like in Acacia. They are covered with dense hairs like in Calotropis, coated with wax like in Opuntia or coated with silica like in Equisetum. Stems in some xerophytes are modified to thorns like in Duranta. Succulent plants have stems modified into structures like phylloclades, cladodes or leaf-like structures like in Ruscus plants. Leaves. Xerophytes have a variety of leaf types. Macrophyllous leaves are small, scaly or needle-like. Trichophilous leaves are covered with hairs. Macrophyllous leaves are soft and fleshy, while Sclerophyllous leaves are stiff and hard. In some xerophytes, there are no leaves or they fall off very early. Rolling of leaves is observed in some xerophytes where the stomata are directed inwards. In some xerophytes, there is a multiple epidermis. In others, the epidermis has thick cuticle and deposition of waxes and resins. Stomatal frequency is low and restricted to the lower surface of the leaf to avoid direct light. Mostly, stomata are sunken in pits. The pits are filled with large number of hairs. Hypodermal layer of leaves are thick and well developed to control evaporation of water. Transpiration is well regulated in xerophytes. Osmotic concentration of the cell sap is high. Succulents have high pentosan, which are derived from polysaccharides. This results in accumulation of water. Plants which grow in salty habitats are known as halophytes. These habitats have a high concentration of salts like sodium chloride and magnesium sulfate. The habitat is physiologically dry due to the salt. As a result, halophytes showed characteristics similar to xerophytes. In tropical and subtropical regions, the seashore has dense traces of halophytes forming mangrove forests. The common trees found are Avicennia and Rhizophora. A great majority of halophytes are shrubs, but a few of them are herbaceous, for example, Acanthus. Roots. Halophytes usually develop shallow, normal roots. In addition to normal roots, many stilt or prop roots develop from the aerial branches of the stem for efficient anchorage in muddy or loose sandy soil. These roots grow downwards and enter deep in the soil. Example, Rhizophora. Many of them produce specialized branches of the roots which are negatively geotrophic to facilitate the entry of atmospheric oxygen into the root system of the plants. These roots are called pneumatophores. They are provided with breathing pores or lenticels for the exchange of gases. Example is mangrove. Stems. Stems in several halophytes develop succulents. Succulence is directly correlated with salt tolerance of the plant. The leaves are reduced to small scaly structures or spines. They have a thick cuticle and a multiple layered epidermis with sunken stomata. Seeds. Halophytes show the phenomenon of viviparous germination. That is, the seeds start germinating while the fruit is still attached to the mother plant. There is no resting stage in the seed and its germination takes place immediately after it is formed. The seedlings fall down in an upright manner and the radicle gets embedded in the soil. In this way, the already developed plumule portion does not come in contact with saline soil, which may be otherwise injurious to it. Anatomical features. Halophytes have large cells and small intercellular spaces. The cell wall is highly elastic with extensive development of water storing tissues. The surface area of the cell is smaller when compared with the volume of the cell. Halophytes have small and fewer stomata and low chlorophyll content. Physiological adaptations. Halophytes show high transpiration rates. They are likely to show exudation of sap that contains dissolved salts and develop many shallow absorbing roots. Plants which grow in moderately moist and cool habitats are known as mesophytes. They are common land plants which grow in areas that are neither too wet nor too dry. These plants can neither grow in water or waterlogged soils, nor can they survive in dry places. Vegetations of forests, meadows and cultivated fields belong to the mesophytes. The simplest mesophytic community comprises the grasses and herbs. Richer communities have herbs and bushes, while the richest ones have trees, that is, the rainforests in the tropics. Mesophytes are mainly classified in two groups: communities of grasses and herbs and communities of woody plants. Roots. Root system of mesophytes is well developed. Roots are fairly branched with root caps and root hairs. Stems. The stems are generally aerial, solid and freely branched. Leaves. Leaves are generally large, broad and moderately thick. They are without hairs or waxy coating. The stomata are distributed on both surfaces of leaves. The aerial parts possesses moderately developed cuticles. Mechanical and vascular tissues are fairly developed and are well differentiated. Organisms adapt over time to the ever-changing environment. Adaptation allows an organism to reduce competition for space and nutrients, reduce predation and increase reproduction. Several factors can limit these adaptations: availability of water, availability of light, predation and temperature. The physical appearance of desert plants is very different from plants that live near the ocean or in the mountains. Each type of plant thrives in a different type of environment. Plants have adaptations to help them survive in different areas. The rainforests are forests with tall trees, warm climates and heavy rain. In some rainforests, it rains more than 1 inch nearly every day. The rainforests are the Earth's oldest living ecosystems. Bark. The weather of a tropical rainforest is hot and wet. The trees generally have a thin, smooth bark. They do not need a thick bark to prevent loss of moisture, unlike plants in temperate deciduous forests. Leaves. The leaves are big, thick and waxy and have drip tips to let the rain drain off quickly. Plants need to shed water to avoid growth of fungus and bacteria in the warm, wet tropical rainforest. In the rainforests, competition for light is intense. The plants arrange their leaves at a different angles so that a plant avoids shading its own leaves. Young rainforest plants may have red leaves to give them protection from the sunlight when their internal organs for photosynthesis are still developing. They act as a sunscreen by reflecting red light when the leaf is still young. The cover of a rainforest is connected by creepers and ferns, while mosses grow on the trees. Roots. Many large trees have a huge ridges called buttresses near the base that can rise 30 feet high before blending into the trunk. These roots provide extra stability and increase the surface area of the tree so that it can breathe in more carbon dioxide and breathe out more oxygen. Some trees have prop roots or stilt roots which give extra support to the trees. Savannas are habitually a transitional zone between forest and desert or grassland. In tropical savannas, during the time of sufficient water, grasses grow quickly, and when water becomes insufficient, they turn brown to minimize water loss. They store nutrients and moisture in their roots while waiting for rain. The acacia tree can survive drought conditions because it has developed long tap roots that can reach deep groundwater sources. It is also fire resistant. The kangaroo paw has adapted to dry conditions so that it requires less water than other plants and can tolerate high temperatures. These perennial plants are noted for their unique bird attracting flowers. The trees have tiny woolly hairs which hold onto water droplets. Most of the trees of the savannas shed their leaves during dry periods to conserve energy and water. The trees have a hydrophilic root system which can extract water from deep in the ground. The taiga is the world's largest terrestrial ecological area. It extends across Europe, North America and Asia. The main season for their growth are winter and summer. The taiga has some lichens and mosses, but most plants are coniferous trees. Not many species of plants survive in the taiga due to harsh conditions. The plants are better adapted to the life in a land of limited sunlight and poor soil nutrition. Evergreen trees are conical in shape, allowing them to shed heavy snows with minimal damage to the branches. They also tend to grow tall and close together to protect them from the cold and the wind. Lots of trees have very dark green needles which stimulates photosynthesis when temperature rise. These needles have a relatively small surface area so that there is minimal loss of water. Evergreen needles have a waxy coating that serves to protect them against wind and rot. Mangroves are a crossroad where oceans, fresh water and land meet. They are among the most productive and complex ecosystems on the planet, growing under environmental conditions that would kill ordinary plants very quickly. Mangrove soils are regularly waterlogged and loaded with salt. Some mangrove species like the grey mangrove and the river mangrove have leaves with glands that excrete salt. Under salinity stress, accumulation of osmoprotectants, especially in the cytosol, chloroplasts and mitochondria, minimizes water loss from the leaf cells. They are able to turn their leaves to reduce the surface area of the leaf exposed to the hot sun. This enables them to reduce water loss through evaporation. Mangroves with high levels of antioxidants are reported to have greater resistance to this oxidative damage. The tundra is a type of biome where the tree growth is hindered by low temperatures and short growing seasons. There are three types of tundra: Arctic tundra, Alpine tundra and Antarctic tundra. Tundra is a huge and wide ranging biome characterized by short statured plant population embedded in a thin layer of seasonally thawed soil underlain by permafrost. It is a type of biome distinguished by a very cold temperatures, lack of precipitation and absence of trees. It contains permafrost or permanently frozen soil. The thicker active layer of soil allows roots to penetrate deeper and thus increases nutrient uptake. Plants are dark in color and some are even red, which helps them absorb solar heat. Some plants are covered with thick hairs to keep them warm. Because of short growing seasons, most tundra plants are perennials. Plants have several basic needs for their growth. They need light, water, air and nutrients for this. They are also faced with many challenges in order to survive. Today, the rapid climate change has added to the challenges already faced by them. Plants will only be able to survive if they are able to adapt to the harsh conditions by modifying their anatomy, morphology and physiology. How well plants adapt to their changing environments will determine their future.